Hi there, everybody. Great to see you here. This is Lisa Starr, the Grow Well Educator with We Work Well, and I'm joining you today with a panel to discuss the dark continent, Africa. It's not really a dark continent anymore, I have to say. I think it's a misunderstood continent, and when people think of Africa, they think of, oh, this place that's so far away and it's so wild, but it's more than that. So while we wait for people to tune in, I also want to introduce the topic of We Work Well. So for companies that don't know who we are and what we do. We are the premier hosted buyer event platform for the spa industry based here in the United States. We started in 2019 with live events where we use special software to pair buyers and suppliers who have similar interests, and it's typically geared to the luxury and hotel spa world, and our suppliers are global. So we had our 2 live events in 2019, and then 2020 came. So we decided to use the virtual platform that we have to have virtual events, and we started them, I think, in June. We've held 6 this year, and they have been super successful. We've had over 1,000 meetings, face-to-face meetings between buyers and suppliers. And what else happened this year is we decided, as the world is more global and we're getting more technology oriented, that we would take our show on the road and go into the EMEA market. So we have events scheduled next year, and I'll give you the dates at the end for EMEA. I think we have 3. Sorry, Lucy, I'm forgetting. So we will invite you to reach out if you are interested in participating from Europe, Middle East, or Africa in any of those events. And I will introduce you at the end to Stephen Pache Banelo, who runs that segment for us. Welcome to those of you joining. Linde, I see that you're on as a guest, not a panelist. If you can use the personal link you were emailed on Tuesday, you can log in. Otherwise, we will figure out how to get you on when the moment comes, which is going to be soon. So Africa, 54 countries, 1.3 billion people. It's a busy metropolis, and we don't always see that in outside of Africa. We see, you know, safari and mountains, but there are 48 cities in Africa with populations of more than 1 million people. It has one of the fastest growing spa environments in the world. In fact, from the Global Wellness Institute numbers that we have comparing 2015 to 2017, the spa business, the number of spas in Africa grew 72% in a 2-year period, and the volume of sales went up 45%. That is impressive growth. The top spa markets in Africa are Morocco, which has over 2,000 spas, and South Africa, which has about 1,100, I believe, at last count. Looking at my various numbers here, 1,100. They employ many, many people, thousands of people. You will find the nicest English-speaking people throughout Africa that are really service-oriented. It's a wonderful place to visit. But there are challenges. I will say it is not always so easy to do business in Africa, and we're going to talk about that today. So I want to show you first a few slides to get you set for the places that we're going to be visiting, that we have guests from today. Hi, Linde, I see you now. So we have representatives from Tilla, which is based in Addis Ababa. We have Simone Lipari. We have Camelot Spa Group with multiple locations in South Africa. I'll tell you more in a minute. We have Elaine Okeke Martin from the Spa and Wellness Association of Africa. So she covers the entire continent. And we have Alfrida Boinett from Private Collection in Kenya, which is a beautiful, as you see, group of 4 lodges with spas. So I'm going to ask my panelists now if you will turn your videos on. Linde, you're already here to join us. Great. Nice to see you. So I'll start with you since you're first on. Linde Cillé is the National Operations Manager for Camelot Spa Group, based in South Africa, but with 36 spas across, 4 or 5 countries. They're also a distributorship, a school, a very large company. Alfrida Boinett, as I said, joins us as the CEO of the Private Collection, a privately owned group of luxury hotels and lodges in Kenya, in the Rift Valley and in the Nairobi area. Elaine Okeke Martin, most people know when we think of Africa, we think of Elaine. She's run the Spa and Wellness Association of Africa, which she started for 10 years now, and is making great strides to try and bring standards up across Africa. And last but not least, Simone Lipari. He is the GM of Tilla Clubs, which is a very interesting business model, and I'll let Simone explain that. Let's start with you, Simone. Addis Ababa, a large city, most people don't realize how big it is. They don't know how high it is, right? It's like 7,000 feet above sea level. Tell us a little bit about yourself and Tilla.
Hey, hi, everybody. My name is Simone, and I've been working in Africa for almost 8 years now. I came to Ethiopia to manage Tilla Health Club, which is an innovative type of wellness facility where we have a salon, we have a spa, we have fitness facilities, we offer healthy eating, and we also have our own cosmetic brand that we're about to launch. So I've been there for 7.5 years, and in the last few months I moved to West Africa, where I'm about to take over the position for our brand as the director of sales for the new cosmetics that we're about to launch. On top of that, I'm the Global Wellness Day Ambassador for Ethiopia. And I'm also about to take over the position as the Director of Operations for SWA, the Spa Wellness Association of Africa, which I'm so much looking forward to. So yeah.
Simone, what do you do in your spare time? Goodness, that's a lot to do.
Well, I just work out and I eat good food and I sleep. I mean, that's it. You know?
Tell us a minute more about Tilla itself. What sort of club is it?
So Tilla is a private membership club based near the United Nations, the headquarters of the ECA in Addis Ababa. Okay, we do offer spa services in spa facilities. We have fitness center in it, healthy eating with a healthy cafe, restaurant. We have a salon. We have a fitness studio, fitness room where we do yoga and all type of classes, and also like a shop with our own cosmetics. This idea came out to create a wellness community where before the wellness was only perceived as a segmented entities, let's say, either spas only or fitness centers only, or, yoga centers only. Why? What we wanted to do is we wanted to combine everything together to create an ecosystem where people can just go and immerse themselves into wellness and have wellness as a lifestyle. That's just as simple as that. And now we're developing that into other clubs in Ethiopia, and we're looking also abroad. And as well, we're about to launch our cosmetic brand both there and in West Africa.
Amazing. So you were really ahead of your time in combining that sort of wellness and spa approach in your area, correct?
Yeah. We started 6.5 years ago. It was challenging. It was very challenging. But here we are. I'm very happy, and Africa is a great place. Ethiopia is an amazing place, and not so much look forward to what's ahead.
Okay, great. We'll come back and discuss the challenges, but right now I want to go to Alfrida. Alfrida, could you unmute yourself and just tell us a little bit about Private Collection and the spas and hotels that you run?
Okay, thank you, Lisa. So I manage Private Collection. Private Collection is a group of select hotels. All our hotels are rustic and small. The biggest number of rooms are about 15 rooms in each place. We are in the coast. We're in Nairobi, and we're in the Rift Valley, in Naivasha, and Nakuru, and in the Mara. So a lot of our spas in the coast and in the Mara and in Nakuru are more open air. They're a mix. They're enclosed partly and partly open, because we found that when people come, they want to have the out of nature experience. So it's a bit, and as I said, it's very rustic. So you would find your conventional, okay, the conventional bed and everything is there. All the products we use are all natural. We partner with a local producing company called Divine Products, which also have a spa here in Nairobi called Aromatic Spa. And so we tend to just go all the more natural route. A lot of the safaris where we are based are road safaris. So you find most of our clients tend to stay 2 or 3 or 4 days. Therefore, by the time they do come, they do want at least some relaxation, some R&R, and that's what we offer. In one of our properties is where we do have where we offer a bit more, where we do now the more manicure and pedicure and all that other stuff, but it's all very spa-based with all flowing water and all that natural goodness. So that
maybe you can enlighten our audience about what is a road safari.
Yes. Sorry?
You said there are road safaris, and can you explain the difference between that and other kinds of safari?
Yeah. Yes. So there's only the Mara is where you have an air safari. The Mara and the coast is where you have an air safari, as in you would land in Nairobi and from Nairobi flight to
your sound's
Mara
cutting out,
or to
Alfrida,
Mombasa.
just so you know.
People would tend to, when they're going to the Rift Valley.
Alfrida, where your sound is cutting in and out, so I'm going to jump now to Linde. Linde, Cillé, newly married, but you've been with Camelot for a long time. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about the scope of Camelot and your job?
Perfect. So I'm the National Operations Manager for Camelot Spas. We're one of the leading spa groups in Africa. So we've got about 31 spas in Africa, 3 in Africa, Swaziland, Botswana, Nigeria. And we've got over 30 years of industry experience. We also offer a 360-degree solution. So we've got training schools as well. We've got 6 health and skincare training centers in South Africa. And then we also do product distribution. So we use a product called Talgo from France. And then we also have a product called C-Spa in South Africa. So we mainly use that in our spas. We also focus a lot on consulting and franchising, not just in South Africa, but in Africa as well. We're currently busy with a few projects in Africa, Rwanda, Uganda, etc. So that's also that keeps us quite busy. Yeah, so I think that's Camelot Spa. So we've got a few bigger spas. We also have a model for smaller spas to cater for residential properties, hotel properties. Yeah, so that's Camelot Spa, I would say, in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, if it fits in a nutshell. How many people are employed by Camelot?
So Camelot, we've got our head office, and we've got spas that belongs or that's owned by a head office, and then we also franchise our spas. So in the group, it's up to 300 people. So it depends how many employees are in a spa. Some of the properties are bigger, some smaller. So as a group, I would say roughly around 300 because they're employed by franchises and head office.
Great. So a large company, needless to say. Elaine, let me jump to you. Elaine, I like to say the first lady of African Spa. So Elaine started and runs the Spa and Wellness Association of Africa, and we heard Simone earlier say he is now the director of operations for that group. They work throughout the continent to try to unite in these 54 different countries the standards maybe that we might refer to as Western, or just so that guests know what to expect when they go somewhere. And I'll ask Elaine to elaborate a little bit on her mission and tell us how you started.
Thank you, Lisa. Hi, everyone. So the Spa and Wellness Association of Africa was established about 10 years ago in 2010. And the reason it was established was because there was a growing need for the Africa Spa and Wellness industry coming together. And we needed better standards, we needed promotion, and we needed to be able to compete globally. So that was the whole idea regarding the association. There was also a need for professionals to come together and have a platform where they could voice themselves and feel free to do that, and also work together and create, connections between each other and businesses, and sell to each other, because that wasn't happening. So it's been a really interesting 10 years. We've just passed that mark this year. We celebrated that. The association is run by volunteers, strictly volunteers, so nobody gets paid for the work. We raise funds through the work we do, and sponsorships and donors, and the education platforms that we also build. So that's how we've run over this last decade. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know how hard you work, Elaine. I have been myself to several, probably 3 Spa and Wellness Association of Africa conferences. They're always excellent. They are great speakers, and it really opened my eyes to Africa and working in Africa about the education opportunity and the business opportunity. People want to grow their businesses just like they do in any other place, and they don't have the resources sometimes that we need. So let's talk for a moment about what the biggest challenges are, Elaine, and I'll start with you from your perspective.
Thank you. I think one of the biggest challenges that we have come across in Africa is the access to cross-border. So, I mean, I know that now with the African Union working on the AfCFTA agreement, that is going to change. It launches January the 1st. So that's going to be a game changer here. And also in regards to the agenda for the 2063, that will also give our industry directly, because we are linked to the hospitality industry as well as goods. So if a product in Kenya wants to sell products to, let's say, Nigeria or Morocco, that will be much easier. Some of the flagship programs that are under this agreement is what we find very important for our members at the association, and that is how we support them as well. So, for example, the Africa passport will be something that anyone can have as an African and have the ability to travel as an African within your own continent freely. That's not possible right now. The establishment of the single African air transport is another point. So because traveling, for me, for example, with what I do, traveling from one part of Africa to the other is challenging and very expensive. And this has to change. And this is what the agreement is going to change. And then we've got the transportation of goods, which will be much easier. So like I mentioned, it will remove, all the barriers, and we will have like a 90% of non-tariff barriers that will drop, which takes away all the extra taxes and everything that is really a bother today. So I'm hoping that for the spa and wellness industry and our professionals and our therapists, that they will be able to sell cross-border and be able to do that very easily. Yeah.
That's a great summation, and it's really good news for the resource partners who would like to sell into Africa and get across Africa. It is a challenge. I know myself, having traveled there, sometimes when you want to go from one city to another in Africa, you have to leave Africa to get a flight that does it. You can't just go from one place to another. And so we don't realize the challenges that are faced. When will these laws take effect, Elaine?
So we have it taking effect January the 1st. It's opening the free trade area on January the 1st, wow. 2021. So that is going to, they've just held their forum as well. So it's going to be exceptional when that happens. And of course, there will be pushback and resistance to the new procedures. But I think of the 34 or 55 countries, they have already implemented a way to how do you say, avoid those pushbacks. So that is also kudos to those countries that are doing that, and that really helps our chapters that we have and our representatives. It helps our members enormously.
Great. I'm going to go back to you, Linde, as somebody who oversees so many spas. And let's talk a bit about spas in particular. Africa has an amazing resources when it comes to natural curing ingredients, indigenous rituals. How much of that has been used to develop spa treatments in your company?
I think quite a bit. So I'm more on the spa side, where we've got a company focusing on the product distribution side. So our sea spa product is mainly focused on aromatherapy. Where Thalgo from France, they've got a sustainability program. They also try and make use of only natural ingredients. So we currently don't use indigenous products as much, but we focus on the aromatherapy side of things with our sea spa product.
How has the spa business been? I mean, we've all had a rough year. Like, what is happening in the Camelot spas at the moment?
So, obviously after lockdown, during lockdown, our spas were closed, and gradually since June, July, they've been opening. 2 of our spas are still closed because some of the hotel properties are still actually closed. Some are only planning to open end of next year. Yeah, so we in their hands when it comes to the hotel properties. But since opening our spas, the revenue are definitely increasing month on month. There's between a 12 to 30% increase monthly. We also decided as a company to set post-COVID budgets to be realistic and set realistic targets for the spas to drive them to get to where they were pre-COVID. And some of the spas are achieving and some exceeding the budget. Some spas are actually doing better now than they did before COVID. We first started our spas, the staff on short time, just to help the business to recover because we were closed during lockdown, and gradually we shift we open up more shifts for the staff, and obviously we were lucky. During lockdown, it was winter in South Africa, so now we're moving into summer and festive season, and there's a great increase in business month on month, as I mentioned. And I think COVID is definitely picking up again, but we're still seeing an increase monthly in clients. You can see people are starting to go on holiday. The festive season is starting. People are going to spas. Yeah, we also, there's a drastic change in the demographics as well, because a lot of the clients work from home now. So they might not work in Joburg anymore. Maybe they work in Pretoria or different areas of the Western Cape, for instance. So people used to go to spas maybe closer to work. So now there's a lot of people working from home. So the properties in the residential areas definitely pick up. And we also find that in the hotels, people go on staycations, as we call them. So they include spa treatments in their stay. They book special occasions locally. So we've seen a big increase in that especially. And yeah, the hotels are definitely anticipating a busy December. They're still booked up. Like I said, people are traveling locally. So yeah, it's actually quite positive, and we've bounced back quite quickly.
I think you told me that one of your properties in Sandton, which is in downtown Johannesburg in the business district, has done better than it did pre-COVID.
Yeah, one or two of the properties, they maybe do double than what they've done before. And it's especially linked with hotel as well. So they've got local clients coming in, and definitely the hotel and spa packages that's combined together has been great post-lockdown. I think people just want to get away, but they do it locally. They do it close to home. They just escape to a beautiful property, have spa treatments, relax, de-stress. So that's been great for our
That's wonderful to hear. I mean, we're seeing that globally, but it's good to know it's also happening there. Alfrida, since you're here, I want to say on Alfrida's benefit that this is Africa, right? Things don't always work and her internet goes in and out, but while she's with us, could you tell us a little bit about how business has been in your hotels and spas since you've reopened?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I know the internet is just playing havoc with me. But since our lockdown was for about 3 months, but after that, I think people were really looking forward to going out. and there was a big push by the local tourism board for be local, use local, try and go out. So there was a lot of offers by hotels, and we were no exception. And we got a lot more business than we had before, which sort of surprised us. But also because we are small, I guess that's an advantage. And definitely, there's a lot more people who had been working from home, and I guess having Zoom meetings and had been seated all the time. So there was also a very big uptake on therapies and massages that they wanted, and that was excellent. So that's a lot more. So that happened both in the hotels and in Nairobi. Nairobi a lot more, because a lot of people are just working from home and booking a lot more treatments.
So it sounds like you feel that guests have wanted to be more active to counteract the fact that they've been sitting in front of computers all day.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We found that, they're not picking as many products as they used to before. Now, not as many treatments, but definitely they are more consistent, because I guess they have more time. So we are creating a lot more packages that are like on a subscription basis. So that's what we are calling it. Yeah, so we're saying, no, you don't have to come today and take everything. Just keep coming during the month. Yeah, and that has worked for us.
So in terms of indigenous ingredients or rituals, do you incorporate those kinds of things in your spas, Alfrida?
Yes, we do, because we grow a lot. We have a lot of herb gardens in our hotels. So we try to incorporate some of the herbs in our scrubs, and not in our facials per se, because I think that's usually a bit, but mostly in our scrubs we do, and in our soaks, that's what we do. Especially in the coast and in the Mara. Yes, we try and do that.
So when it's not a pandemic, where are most of your guests coming from?
When it's not a pandemic, we have a good mix of the two. Quite a lot of some half and half, locals and a lot of international guests who come, especially for the Mara during the migration season. So that's big, and then they do a circuit. So we have a lot of circuit guests. So you'll find that when they find one product in our lodge, they'll say, oh, I didn't try this other one or the other one. So we find that it's been a 50-50 mix. Yeah.
What sort of promotions have been successful for you in the last month? Like, what platform do you use? Facebook, social media? What works for you?
Yeah, a lot of what worked for us now has been Instagram. We found Instagram and Facebook works for us, because we found the demographic that's on Facebook is a much older crowd and which works well for us. And then because the younger ones who are there are just good for engagement and getting the message across and passing it much quicker. But we found that on Facebook we can create a story and carve it out for longer. Yeah.
Good. That's good to hear. So again, similar to what happens in the rest of the world, Instagram has been a real factor, that we have to take into account. Oh, it's just everything moves so much more quickly now, especially with the younger people.
Exactly.
Let's go to Simone. Simone, you have such an interesting story. You're obviously not African by birth. How did you end up in opening a spa and club in Ethiopia?
So I was actually living in Australia before. So then this opportunity came up, and I was at the bridge between deciding of staying in Australia for quite many years after that, or trying a new ground in Africa. And then I came and I didn't leave.
You just loved it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I saw a great opportunity together with so much potential. And I just felt like giving so much to this industry so that this potential can just come out, right? So I've been here ever since.
Where did the idea for Tilla come from?
The idea for Tilla came from, as I said before, to create an ecosystem where all the wellness parts work together, right? And we can create a wellness community where the upper society in Addis can come around and just feel outside of the city, let's say, like escape from the routine. Majority of our clients are business owners.
Mhm.
So even the marketing approach is completely different, because social media don't really work with all type of clientele. Yeah.
So what do
Mainly
you do
about-
instead?
Mainly it's about word of mouth,
Mhm.
emails and word of mouth. It's as simple as
Really? The old-fashioned way.
yeah, which, I think this pandemic in a way showed us, yes, technology is important, but going back to basic is very important too,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Your club has a cafe, correct?
Yeah.
And is it possible to come in as a guest and just have a meal and leave and not exercise or use a spa?
Absolutely. The cafe is the main area where you don't need to reserve. But if you're a non-member, you can just come in, take an appointment prior to that, and have a spa service or a salon service or attend a fitness class. Yeah.
Interesting. It's a really interesting model, and I'm sure you'll have luck rolling it out. How about products? I mean, you told us you're starting your own brand. What was the impetus for that?
So I think that there's a necessity to have quality, locally made products, okay, with local ingredients. It's just as simple as that. That enhances the beauty of Africa and African people. Forget about all the bleaching side of it. It's just about enhancing the natural beauty of Africa. And that's what it came out from. And there is so many ingredients that are available here that from which you can create a product. And that's what we're doing.
How was that process? I mean, are there labs you can go to for formulation and manufacture?
We have our own production from source to the end product.
But that must have taken a while to get that in place then. He laughs.
It's taking a while.
Like how long?
Since I'm here, literally.
Wow. And you've been there 6 years?
Been here almost 8.
Wow.
So
amazing.
Yeah. But if you want to do something great, it takes time too.
That's a good way to look at it. In the West, we're so about efficiency and speed that the idea of taking 8 years to build something would probably mean most people gave up. And so I give you a lot of credit.
What did COVID taught us too is about taking, like, in a way, just stopping for a second and taking your time and living in the moment and just developing what you're doing with the right time, right? So I'm a truly believer to taking the right time for things.
So while we're on this topic about the business climate there, tell us how you see the opportunity. I mean, what drew you to grow this where you did?
So first of all, I believe into, especially in Africa, in our industry in Africa, to keeping it local, right? When it comes to products, retail, to keeping it local. When it comes to services, instead, to make it as an with international standards. It's just as simple as that, right? And that's what kept me here, together with the fact that I see so much potential, which is untapped in here. And I feel like it's my responsibility as a leader, it's our responsibility as a leader in our industry to just make sure that our team are exposed to what the actual potential is and just go there and get what they like, what they like, and our customers too at the same time. Like it's about both.
I would think that you have to paint a picture for your employees in particular of what could be because they don't have other models to see, right? Like, this is what this career can bring to me.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to always be a role model, so that's what I always believe about first. And yes, we are the leaders in Ethiopia, but new places are coming up. And the bar is going higher and higher, which is good for everybody.
True, right? The rising tide raises all boats, right? So the service levels will go up.
Not just in Ethiopia or in West Africa, but I believe everywhere across. And that's why we're here also with ZWA to make sure that we impact that growth as well as possible. So yeah.
Alfrida, I'd like to hear from you about your staff. Like, you have 4 properties, they're all spread out. I mean, how do you, Kenya has an amazing service culture. I mean, the people couldn't be nicer, but how do you train them to the standards that you'd like?
That's been a challenge. It's true, because what traditionally we've done is try and employ people from the locale that they are, so that if they're in Naivasha or in the Mara or in Eldoret, we keep them local. But we found that there's a challenge for service delivery, as you know, as Simone has said, because you want to give international standards applicable. So there's a lot of training which we've tried to do, and so what we've ended up doing is done a rotational program. So when we take you on as a therapist or even as one of our waiters, it's very clear that we've taken you on in the private collection brand, and therefore we will then, you're not fixed in that particular property. So that's been dealt by. So occasionally there's a rotation to go around, so that we just ensure that what you get at this particular place, you get at the next, especially because sometimes for us it's a circuit, even though at times it's not, but to try and deal with that challenge, that's what we had to do.
I would imagine that letting them go to other properties is really eye-opening for them, and it probably makes them better at their job, right?
Oh yes, it is. Except when they go there and then they say, "Oh wow, I've never been here, so I think I should, I need to stay here because it's much nicer." Then they're like, "Oh, don't come back. We want you." Yeah, but
unintended consequence.
Exactly, but it really helps the entire process, and it's true. It's very eye-opening, and when they come back, generally you find that the standard, the quality goes up everywhere. It's a challenge. It becomes more challenging, because most of them, since they were local and were born and raised there, have just never had the exposure. So that's been quite good.
Right. Well, we have that issue in spas all over the world, but I think it's particularly true in places where people don't travel as often and may not have had the experiences. When you said we need international standards, and you really need that when you have international visitors, right? And because they've been to spas and hotels in other countries, but it's not as important with the local, but you still want to be, the top in your area, right?
Exactly, you want to be the same with the area, but it's even worse. Sometimes it's the locals have more stricter standards than even the internationals, because the internationals will say, "Oh, maybe this is a local, this is the local style of doing things." But we find that sometimes even the local tourist has traveled, so they're like, "Oh no, what do we expect? A higher standard of you?" So really, it's become it's a fusion of the two, where we try and say, okay, this is this experience we want to create for you, and this is our own signature that we've made, and that's what we've strived to do. And that's why it's been really great with SWA, because SWA has been great in trying to create also standards within the industry, because we also find that sometimes we get people who come from not the conventional hotel spas are run much more different than day spas. You find sometimes the day spas could range from like a small salon, just doing some small massage and everything, and it's not a spa experience. And sometimes then you get those people wanting you to employ them, and trying to tell them that look, this is the experience we're trying to create. Let's not be rushed. Whereas they're used to a much more cut and paste, quick, in and out type thing. Has been so tricky. So we've been very appreciative of all the efforts that's why it's trying to standardize the industry, especially in Africa, so that and I think like create a register of sorts. So for hotel owners, it's really good because we are able to have a point of reference, and probably now they'll probably be able to register people who will be able to say, they understand what we're looking for, they understand the standards, and therefore if you want to come and work with us, then this is what we're looking for.
Those are great points. And before I forget, please, any of our attendees live who'd like to ask a question, please go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll get to it. That topic of the difference between running a day spa and a hotel spa is certainly significant. And I'm going to go back to Linde on that because she runs both very successfully. South Africa is a more mature market, I would say. I mean, there's a strong spa culture, a lot of Western influence, but What would you say are the challenges you face in your day-to-day operations, Linde?
I think staff is always a big challenge. You need your staff to have the same culture as you, understand your vision, understand your company, and have the passion. I think it's all about employing the correct staff. And we've got a national trainer. So she does virtual training. She travels to all the properties to ensure, like she mentioned before, to have the same service at all the properties. So it doesn't matter if you go to the smaller spa or to a hotel spa or a day spa. We've got certain standards and signature treatments and a welcome tea ceremony, and we've got a welcome touch and small little things like that, where our clients expect it. So even if they have the treatment in Johannesburg, in South Africa, or they go to Swaziland, or they go to Botswana or Nigeria, they all expect the same, and we expect them to perform the same service. The only thing that maybe differs is facilities. And our clients know if you go to a bigger property, they'll have more facilities there, and maybe at the smaller properties, they'll have less facilities. But the quality and the standard of services, there's never compromise in that. So even if a client comes for a waxing service, they still get the tea ceremony, they still get the whole experience that they would have gotten before. Yeah, we're all about the experience. And it's all about the clients and the journey. They need to know they come to a Camelot spa and not just to a salon for a quick fix. So we treat everyone to have the whole experience. Because even if you come for a waxing service or a brow service, something that's a small treatment, you still need to experience the whole feel of a spa, a day spa, a small spa. So I think training is key. Obviously staff, but even if a staff member have worked for 7, 10, 15 years, we still need to imprint our vision and our standards into that person. Yeah, so I think that's key for us. You need to experience the same feel and the same standards at any of our properties.
Well, you have an advantage at Camelot having your own school. Do you tend to send your employees to the school, or do you have people from your training academy come to the locations?
We do both. So for instance, especially in Africa, like Swaziland and Nigeria, we need to, for instance, use the local people. It's difficult to get a person from South Africa that's qualified and send them there. So then we send someone from our training school there, or we'll get the people to come to South Africa for a period of time, and we'll train them through our training school from scratch. Some of the training school, some of the courses is online, which is great for us. So it doesn't matter where they are, they can do online training through the school. So we definitely utilize the school a lot. Our trainer will train more standards and procedures, where the training school can train a course, like a Swedish massage or skincare, all of that. So we can upskill the therapists through the school. Yeah, so we definitely use them. And also the students from the school, especially now in festive season, if they go on holiday, we put them in our spas. And then they also go through training with our national trainer. So she'll take them for a week. She'll go through our standards, procedures, our signature treatments. They'll also go through all our product training. So it doesn't matter if you get a normal employee that's employed at the spa or a student from our school, they all need to be on the same standard. So we definitely work hand in hand at all times with all three our companies.
Well, what I'm hearing over and over is there is a training challenge. So there's an opportunity that presents for companies wanting to get into the Africa market to provide some training. Can I ask you how retail has been? I mean, how have your retail sales been this year, Linde?
Retail sales have been great. I think it's all about training the therapist again. We always, part of our job description and what we expect is that therapists can retail. Retail, not in a sense of pushy sales, but to give the client the full experience. They need to know their products, their ingredients, what the product does. And if a client comes in for treatment, they need to give them the full experience, give them proper home care advice. That's why we use the products that we use, because it's results driven. So if a client comes in for a slimming treatment or a relaxation treatment, Salgo has internal products as well as treating from the outside. So we can really give the client the full experience. Yeah, so retail's been great. Our retail can be anything between 30 to 60%, depending on the property. And we definitely put a big focus on it because it's all about really understanding how to do a proper consultation with a client, how to do proper home care recommendations. And at the end of the day, if the therapists don't understand the products and know the ingredients, we make them write retail tests about the product over and over again, every week if possible, otherwise twice a month at least, because the better they know their products, the better they can recommend to the clients, and then retail will come automatically. And that's where you want your business to, you want retail in your business. We tend to incentivize the staff more in retail as well, because you've got better profit margins with your retail product.
I just want to go back to something you said, and did you say 30 to 60% of sales can come from retail in your locations?
Yeah, so 30% is our minimum, it's our requirement.
Wow.
So we expect the staff 30% of their income. But some of the spas, their retail can be up to 60%. Some of the therapists, yeah, it all depends what they offer to the clients, and if they put packages together or a skincare regime together. Yeah, we also have the LPG machines, the endomology machines. So a client can go on a course, they can go on a slimming program, they can go on an anti-aging program to work on their face or their body or a specific area, and then home care and internal products go together with that.
Well, I wanted to confirm that number because that's an impressive number by any standards globally. So well done, you. Alfrida, let me jump back to you and ask you about retail. I mean, do you attempt to retail products in your spas?
We have them available, but they're not obviously as good as those numbers.
Yeah.
But they are available because we find there are people who, because ours are a very local product and not an international product, and most of the people who would buy them would come to the spa, would tell you, oh, I already use something else. So, but in our property up country in Eldoret, we are finding the sales are really good because they are used to other lower brand products. And so this very specific targeted products that we have are really appealing to them, because also the price point works for them. So that's where we are finding the good sales. Yeah.
Okay. And Simone, quickly to you on retail, what you obviously saw an opportunity there. How are sales in retail?
Yeah, well, we were selling a few brands that we were importing, right? But because of the struggles with COVID, then we had to stop importing. So we're about to sell our own cosmetics, and the request is huge. I understand those numbers of 30-60%. Yeah, almost there, I would say.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, because people still need to use beauty products anyway. So
right, we need them. They get them from somewhere. It might as well be from you, right? I'd like to go around now and ask each of you to tell me your biggest challenge and your biggest opportunity, just succinctly, not a long elaboration, but what do you see as your biggest challenge and your biggest opportunity? And I'm going to end with Elaine, but I'll start with you, Simone.
Biggest challenge is there are two, I would say. Number one is availability of simple goods, I would say. I make an example, barbicide, right? Which every spa should have in a way, right? So just availability of importing these things in countries like Ethiopia or some others too. At the same time, training, make sure that your therapist can be skilled, your therapist and your staff as a whole, right? From fitting my side to salon, to even food and beverage, to spa, and when it comes to all the entire wellness segments. Those are the challenges. When it comes to opportunities, the market is starting to understand wellness only now in the last few years. So we're just about to just ride the wave, I would say. So that's the biggest opportunity is awareness. People are starting to be much more aware of what wellness is. And that's the biggest opportunity for all of us, I would say.
Okay, great. Very well put. Alfrida, your biggest challenge and biggest opportunity.
Yes, I think our biggest challenge from what I see is definitely the standardization and getting the kind of achieving consistency in the quality of what we want to try and give to the customer. So training, I guess, is the only medicine for that. And so for me, reaching there to achieve that is going to be my my biggest thing to look forward to. But the biggest opportunity I find is, especially now with COVID, and even before, I think people in Africa generally, or African population, used to see going to the spa as a luxury item, something to do if they want to, as an add-on. But I think with the, as Simone said, with the wellness element of it, and especially coming to the hotel for rest, relaxation, and as a preventative measure to avoid sort of stress and all that, and as a cure for any sort of ailments that you can get sort of prior, and trying to tweak our product to suit that. I think that's the big opportunity I see, and because also I'm in a lot of our properties, we're in forested areas, and so we are set already for a lot of that. So it's aligning that to our product, I think, is what I see as a big opportunity, and I think all over Africa really, because we have the products available to us. It's just merging them to make it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How about for you, Linde?
So I think our biggest challenge, I would still go back to staff. Your staff is your business. So you need to have the right people. With them, your business can flourish, or they can break your business. So I think they'll always be an obstacle to just get the right team there and to maintain the staff. I think it's so easy for our therapists to move from one place to the other for a small salary increase or smaller benefits, where it's just easy for them to move up and down, I find, than in other industries. So for us, it's important to maintain our staff, keep them happy, keep them trained, keep upskilling them, so that they want to stay with the company, and that's good for our clientele, because they don't want to see change of staff all the time. So I think staff, it's your biggest asset, but it can also be your biggest obstacle. So yeah, I think focusing on staff and keeping them happy and keeping a team, that I would say stays a big obstacle. But we do have staff that stay with us for a long time. It's just investing in them, like I said, training in them and keeping them with you. Opportunity-wise, I think in our company, a lot of people, even outside Africa, approach us for franchising and consulting. So I think that's a huge opportunity for us, that we're focusing on as an opportunity. We've also find now with COVID, we've done virtual consultations, which has been something we never did before. And that's also a great opportunity that you can do virtually, do home care recommendations, speak to clients virtually. So that's quite a nice opportunity. And then sustainability, we've recently gone on a journey to really focus on sustainability in our company. So I think COVID exposed the need to return to natural options. And I think sustainability, allowing brands to showcase their eco policies. So I think sustainability is an opportunity and focus for us as well.
That's great. I mean, it's true everywhere that this pandemic has forced us to turn to avenues for revenue like virtual consults that we had never considered before. But when you're, that's what's necessity is the mother of invention, right? When you have to do something, you get creative. I want to come back to Elaine, who could talk for hours on this subject in the most articulate way, but could you sum up for us, Elaine, what are the big challenges and opportunities in Africa today for the spa and wellness industry?
Thank you, Lisa. I mean, from the association's point of view, I believe that the challenge is convincing governments and leaders that wellness is a priority in their country, hence why we will be hosting a conference next year based on smart wellness regions and highlighting the smart wellness regions around Africa and what they're doing. So that's going to be very exciting. For opportunities, it's more about the cross-border access, like I mentioned early on. I think that is going to be the greatest opportunity. You know, hearing our leaders here today speak, they all touched on how they're in different countries or different sections or regions in their country and how they want to expand that. I think that's going to be enormous when that starts as of January.
Mm-hmm. You've been at this for 10 years, Elaine. How do you feel about the progress that's been happening? Do you sense the pace picking up?
So yes, I definitely do. I agree with Simone when he says we're about to ride the wave. When we started off 10 years ago, there was really none of that. And I think that being able to promote Africa on the global scene, showcase what has been happening on the continent, because a lot of people didn't know, has been an amazing thing to do. And I think that it's just about to take off. So I think this continent is to be watched because we have some really dynamic people on the continent. They're able to virtually educate themselves now. We have a lot of people joining in through the memberships, for example. But more than that, we have sort of like a community and a network that is becoming like I can see a lot of them are doing businesses together, which they never did before. And that has been so valuable to everyone. Our therapists, on the other hand, that's something we're working enormously on getting to export them a lot more, whether it's a Zimbabwean therapist or a Nigerian therapist that wants to work in South Africa. It should be much easier. The salaries as well, that's something the association will also be looking at, how to, you know, convince, you know, governments and companies that they need to pay a certain wage to their therapists, because that we are also you know, highlighting the SDGs now, and we've committed to that. So one of the key things for the organization here is to make sure that we get at least people in our industry out of poverty, because a lot of them are actually supporting families, children, their, you know, their homes. They're building houses for their homes and so, or for their families, sorry. And so it's so important that we get them from that stage and then continue to educate them at accredited schools. So another thing the association does is we don't accept, for example, members or institutions who don't, or people or spas who don't have accredited education. That's something we really recommend, and we encourage you all to look into the institutions that do provide those international standards, because we actually do have them on the continent and they are amazing schools. So that's another thing. Yeah.
This has been great info to share with everyone, and I so appreciate it. I mean, I've been to Africa multiple times and I see the opportunity as well. People are eager, they want to learn, they want to provide great service. Their culture is so awesome. It's a beautiful place. I mean, I think it's definitely on the upswing, as you said, Elaine, and the numbers support it. What I said earlier, I mean, 72% spa growth in 2 years, that's amazing. And we will have new, we'll have new numbers from the Global Wellness Institute probably next year that will continue to that point. Linde, you have a comment?
Yeah, I wanted to mention, so Camelot, we're an accredited school, so we can virtually train them from anywhere. So we train, like I said, our girls in Africa. So whenever you guys need any training, you're welcome to contact us, because we can put courses together if it's something specific that you need, or create something for you. That's why we offer the 360 degree. If we need to do treatments for you, signature treatments, train them in normals, courses, things like that. We are accredited school.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you again to all of the panelists. This has been really enlightening. It's such an interesting continent, as we like to say. It's a great place to do business. In closing, thank you to those of you that have participated live. This will be available later on our YouTube channel. I wanted to introduce Stephen Pache Banelo, at least here is his picture, and he is the head of We Work Well for EMEA. We have 3 events scheduled next year, February 4th being the first, one in May and one in September. So if you are a supplier or a spa that would like to participate, please reach out to Stephen, and here is his email address on the screen. Thank you again to my panelists so much. It was such a pleasure to have you. And I hope that we've done something to educate on the state of this amazing continent. So thanks, everybody, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.